So now that we've talked about message, let's talk about question. A pro tip, as long as you're working on your chatbot, please always click on Save as Draft. This will save you a lot of issues in case your computer restarts, the browser closes by mistake, or you simply click on back without realizing you're clicking on it. Your work will not be deleted. The second action is question. It is a very similar function to send a message, but in addition to the message that we're going to send, we can also ask the client to either type something or choose from a menu. So for the question type here, it says both, but I can choose text, which means that the client is required to type something and then send it for the system to register it as an answer. Or I can choose multiple choice, which means when I send this message that says hi, in our case, or hi again, to differentiate it from the one at the top, the client will see a few options. In WhatsApp, they will look like buttons. So the client will need to click on one of the buttons, and then they'll be able to proceed with the rest of the flow. Some of the options here could be contact us. Because they're talking to a chatbot right now, it can be contact us or chat now, as in get out of the chatbot and talk to an agent. We can add a second one, for example, location. If someone is messaging you for the first time or they're generally interested in visiting the business, you don't have to transfer the chat to an agent. They just simply click on location. The chatbot will provide them with the details, the location information, the link and whatnot, and then they can proceed without having to talk to an agent. So think of it, like take this example and think of how many things you can automate without having to transfer chats to your agent, especially when you have a lot of chats coming in throughout the day. Moving forward, we'll go to store answer. In the case where you want to store that answer, especially if the client has provided you with written text, for example, their email address or their name, if you want to get the full name, you can store that answer in a variable that you create at the top. You can take this variable and place the value in another message or update a system field. We're going to talk about this use case in a bit, but this is to explain that you can take an answer and store it inside of a variable. The wait time value means that you can send a question and also wait for the client to respond. If the client does not respond to your question, you can wait for a certain amount of time and then close the chat or transfer it to an agent. So the way this works is that, as you can see here, we have the wait action. For example, if my client does not respond, I will wait for 1 hour after I send the message or the question, and then I will assign it to one of my teams, maybe customer support. This way, even though we're asking a question, and even though the client will stay with the bot for some time, if they don't respond back, they'll be with an agent in a bit. This is to ensure that your clients don't get stuck with the chatbot, especially if they get busy, and then your team can follow up with them. Each of the multiple choices we have here can lead us to a different journey. For example, if the client clicks on chat now, I'll assign the chat to an agent, but maybe I want to send the client a message telling them, we'll transfer your chat to an agent in a second. Then we transfer the chat to the specific agent. For the location, I want to send a different message with the information about my location. I can upload an image if I have a map image, for example, or some kind of guide for the client to follow, in addition to my message. So the multiple choices can be used to direct us into different directions.